The Morgan family business is about relationships, Dad always said. It's about handshakes and Scotch golf games and cigars. Not computers and data. That was 5 years ago, the day he handed control of Morgan Construction to my older brother James instead of me. Despite my MBA from Harvard and my innovative proposals for modernizing the company, I wasn't cut out for the business. Too analytical, they said. Too focused on efficiency and technology. Not enough of the personal touch that had built Morgan Construction over 3 generations. Now, sitting in my sleek downtown office at Nova Development Group, I watch the latest news scroll across my screens. Tech-driven Nova Development secures $2 billion Westfield contract. Westfield Properties, Morgan Construction's biggest client for the past 20 years. The account that had paid for James's Ferrari and Dad's beach house. My phone buzzed, James calling for the 3rd time today. I let it go to voicemail, instead turning to my laptop where the final contract was waiting for my signature. Ms. Morgan. My assistant Daniel appeared in the doorway. Your father is in the lobby. Of course he was. Nothing like losing a $2 billion client to make Dad remember he had a daughter. Send him up, I said, straightening my desk. And Daniel, make sure all the screens are showing our project analytics. 5 minutes later, Dad stormed in, looking exactly as I remembered: expensive suit, monogrammed cufflinks, that air of entitled confidence that came from decades of doing business the old way. Rachel, he started, then stopped short as he took in my office. The wall of screens displaying real-time project data, the 3D modeling of our latest developments, the digital infrastructure that had helped Nova Development grow from nothing to a billion-dollar company in 5 years. Hello, Dad, I said calmly. Hear about Westfield? You can't do this, he said, but his voice lacked its usual authority. Westfield has been with Morgan Construction for 20 years. We have relationships. Had relationships, I corrected him. But it turns out golf games and Scotch can't compete with efficiency and innovation. Who you? I pulled up the Westfield proposal on my main screen. A fully digital, AI-optimized construction plan that would save them millions in costs and years in completion time. This is corporate theft, he protested. No, Dad. This is competition. The thing you said I didn't understand because I was too focused on computers and data. He sank into one of my office chairs, looking suddenly older. Rachel, we're family. Are we? I turned to face him fully. Was it family when you dismissed my proposals for modernizing Morgan Construction? When you gave James control despite his complete lack of innovation? When you said I wasn't cut out for business? Before he could answer, my phone buzzed again, James trying for the 4th time. Your brother is panicking, I finished. Because without Westfield, Morgan Construction's revenue drops by 60%. I know. I ran the numbers. Dad's face paled. He hadn't run the numbers. Of course not. Numbers were my thing, the thing that made me not cut out for the family business. What do you want? He asked finally. I smiled, pulling up another screen. Actually, Dad, I'm glad you asked. Because I have a proposal for Morgan Construction. One that involves a very specific type of relationship. What kind of relationship? The kind where you work for me. The look on his face was worth 5 years of waiting. Daniel appeared in the doorway. Ms. Morgan? The Westfield team is ready for the video call. I stood up, smoothing my designer suit. Not that Dad would recognize Armani without a flashy label. You should go, Dad. I have a $2 billion client waiting. You remember those, right? As he left, looking shell-shocked, I couldn't help but add, oh, and tell James to stop calling. If he wants to talk, he can make an appointment. Like all my other subsidiaries do. Sometimes being not cut out for business means cutting out your own path. And sometimes that path leads right back to where they said you didn't belong. I turned to my screens, ready to seal the deal that would change everything. After all, I had a family business to acquire. The Morgan Construction boardroom looked exactly as I remembered: dark wood, leather chairs, and enough old-school pretension to fill a country club. But today I wasn't the daughter being dismissed. I was the CEO of Nova Development, here to discuss their future. Or lack thereof. This is insane, James declared, pacing in his custom suit. We can't seriously be considering selling to Rachel's company. Your quarterly reports suggest you can't seriously consider anything else, I replied, sliding tablets across the table to each board member. Your revenue is down 70% since losing Westfield. Your other clients are nervous. And your technological infrastructure is. I paused for effect. Well, let's just say Windows 95 called. It wants its systems back. Dad sat silently at the head of the table, his chair for now, staring at the acquisition offer on his tablet. Nova Development is prepared to acquire Morgan Construction at a premium, I continued. We'll modernize your operations, integrate your projects into our digital ecosystem, and maintain the Morgan name. Maintain the name? James scoffed. How generous of you, little sister. I pulled up our company comparisons on the boardroom's dusty projector. In 5 years, Nova Development has grown to 10 times Morgan Construction's current value. We manage projects in 12 countries. Our AI-driven planning systems have reduced construction times by 40%. The board members leaned forward, interest overcoming their initial skepticism. While you were having scotch with clients, I added, I was building the future of construction management. The choice is simple, adapt or die. And if we refuse? James challenged. I smiled, pulling up another screen. Then I continue acquiring your clients one by one. Westfield was just the beginning. I have meetings next week with Henderson Group, Allied Properties, and... I paused, watching James's face. The downtown development project. He went pale. The downtown project was supposed to be his crowning achievement, the deal that would prove he deserved his position. You wouldn't, he whispered. I already have, I replied, displaying the preliminary agreement. They were very impressed with our digital optimization models. Apparently, golf scores don't matter as much as saving $500 million in construction costs. Dad finally spoke. You planned this. All of it. Of course I did, I turned to him. You taught me that business is about relationships. I just built relationships with technology instead of scotch. The board members were whispering now, looking between their failed leadership and the future I was offering. We'll need time to consider. One started. You have 24 hours, I cut him off. After that, Nova Development's offer drops by 30%, and I accelerate my meetings with your remaining clients. James slumped in his chair, his arrogance finally cracking. This isn't fair. Fair. I laughed. Was it fair when Dad gave you control despite my superior qualifications? Was it fair when you mocked my computer obsession while I was building an empire? I stood up, gathering my tablets. The business world isn't about fair, brother. It's about innovation, adaptation, and seeing the future before others do. Everything I tried to tell you 5 years ago. As I walked to the door, I turned back one last time. Oh, and James, that corner office you love so much. Start packing. I have plans for it. Sometimes revenge doesn't need golf clubs or scotch. Sometimes it just needs patience, vision, and the sweet satisfaction of proving them all wrong. The board would accept my offer. They had no choice. And soon, the family business would finally be run by someone who actually understood business. Me. 24 hours later, I sat in my Nova Development office, watching Morgan Construction's board members sign the acquisition papers one by one. Each signature represented a small victory, 5 years of planning, building, and waiting for the perfect moment. James refused to attend. Dad sat quietly in the corner, looking lost without his usual boardroom authority. And with that, my legal team announced, Morgan Construction is officially a subsidiary of Nova Development Group. I stood up, addressing the room. For those staying on through the transition, welcome to the future of construction management. For those retiring, I glanced at Dad. Your severance packages are generous. Consider it a return on my rejected investment in modernization. The board members filed out, leaving just Dad and me. You really did it, he said quietly. You really built all this. I walked to my wall of screens, each displaying a different Nova project around the world. No thanks to you. Remember when you said technology couldn't replace relationships? I pulled up our client satisfaction metrics. Turns out data-driven efficiency builds better relationships than golf games ever did. And James can keep his job, I said, turning back to him. In middle management, where his personal touch can't hurt our bottom line. Dad stood, straightening his tie one last time. I was wrong about you, Rachel. About everything. Yes, I agreed simply. You were. My phone buzzed, a text from James. You won. Happy now. I typed back, ecstatic. Your new supervisor orientation is Monday at 9. Don't be late. Daniel appeared with a stack of papers. The Morgan Construction rebranding documents are ready, Ms. Morgan. And the tech team is prepared to begin systems integration. Perfect. I signed the papers, each stroke of the pen erasing another piece of the old Morgan Construction. Have facilities begin the office renovations. I want every computer replaced by Friday. Even James's custom desk? Especially that. I smiled. Replace it with our standard workstation. He'll need to learn our project management software like everyone else. Dad watched this exchange with a mix of admiration and regret. You've thought of everything. I had 5 years to plan while you and James were playing golf. My screens lit up with a new alert, our AI system detecting another potential acquisition target. I pulled up the analysis, watching as millions of data points transformed into actionable strategy. This is how modern business works, Dad. I gestured to the displays. Not with handshakes and scotch, but with innovation and adaptation. The things you said I didn't understand. He nodded slowly. And the Morgan name? Will survive, I assured him. As a small division of Nova Development. A reminder of how not to run a construction company. My phone buzzed again. The facilities team confirming James's office clearance would begin tomorrow. You should go, I told Dad. The severance paperwork needs your signature by end of day. He paused at the door. For what it's worth. I'm proud of you, Rachel. For what it's worth, I replied, turning back to my screens. That stopped mattering 5 years ago. As he left, I pulled up the Morgan Construction employee directory. Time to see who was worth keeping and who would join Dad in retirement. Daniel appeared again. Your brother's client files have been transferred to our system. Should I have IT restrict his access? No need, I smiled. Those golf buddies of his already signed with Nova months ago. They prefer our efficiency metrics to his Scotch collection. I looked out my window at the city skyline, where half the major construction projects now bore the Nova Development logo. Soon the old Morgan Construction sites would join them. One more thing, I called to Daniel. Send James a company laptop. Standard issue. And make sure it has our complete project management tutorial preloaded. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just buying the family business. It's dragging it into the future they tried to avoid. And sometimes being not cut out for business means cutting out the old way of doing business entirely. I turned back to my empire of screens and data, of innovation and progress. The future Dad hadn't wanted but now had to accept. After all, family business is still business. And business is what I do best.